right, we're gonna take a shot and see if they're gonna let us in this building. I'm gonna guess no, but I'm gonna ask. We'll see what happens. It's crazy. Hey, how you doing? Are we allowed to go in there? Okay, we got a no on that. That's what I thought. Okay, Tony Mormino with HVAC TV. So this is how you dry out a building with desiccant dehumidification after a significant event like a flood or hurricane or anything that gets the building wet. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what happened here. So we're in downtown Marshall, North Carolina, and about 12 days ago this place was completely flooded. As a matter of fact, where I'm standing, I don't know if it was 100% underwater. Let's see if we can see a water line. This is where the water line is. Okay, so you can imagine the water flowing through this whole city. You've probably seen videos on YouTube. The whole city was pretty much gutted. All the buildings were gutted, had mud in them. Furniture was ruined, walls were ruined, etc. Everything you would expect from a major flood event. People are calling this a biblical flood because it smashed the last record by about 6 feet. So I think the last record was in 1916, and this flood beat that by about 5 or 6 feet. So it's a major, major deal. So I've learned a lot about flooded buildings. I have little experience with them. I'm going to kind of explain to you the steps to take if you do go through one of these events, and we're going to specifically talk about these dehumidification units behind us, which are made by my friend Tom Peterson's company called Climate by Design, okay? So we'll walk through those things. So what happens is when the water rushes through these buildings, when the water recedes, you really got to pay attention to make sure you dry the building out in a timely manner, because if you leave the water in there too long, it can cause mold, it can cause mildew, it can deteriorate the walls, the floors, the ceilings, etc., whatever's wet. So it's important you get everything out, you get the building cleaned up, and you dry it out. Here's kind of the process we've seen, and I'm not an expert on flood remediation, so please take this as an overview to kind of get you started, but please hire an expert if you do have one of these scenarios, because it's a major, major deal. So first step, what we did is we went around a lot of these buildings and we shoveled the mud out with shovels and wheelbarrows. Got all the furniture out, anything you want to throw away. You can see over here, we'll show you on we'll put some clips in this video on just piles of mud, piles of furniture, refrigerators, etc., everything that needs to be thrown away. You get it out of the building. The next step is to, if you have carpet, to completely remove the carpet. You're going to throw that out and then just clean everything up the best you can. Now you're at a point where you need to dry out the building, because what happens is the walls, the floors, anything that can absorb water will absorb water, and you need to get that out of there as quickly as possible. That's where these dehumidification units come in. So in a lot of these buildings, you'll go around, like in our office building, we actually cut the sheetrock 1 foot above the flood line, okay? So where we are across the river, we flooded to about right here, so we cut the sheetrock up to about right here, okay? We got that out of the building. So the building to the left of me is the historic Madison County Courthouse. This building's been here for over 100 years, and inside it's absolutely gorgeous, beautiful architecture, and tons of wood. Everything in there is made out of wood. The walls, the floors, etc. I don't think there's any carpeting in there at all. There's no sheetrock, to the best of my memory. We're going to try and get in there and take some video. We'll see if they'll let us do that. So what you're looking at behind me are the dehumidification units. These are mobile, portable, rental dehumidification units. They bring in here, and what these units are doing is they're drying out air and pumping it into the building. Okay, so what happens when materials absorb moisture, it will give it off more freely if the surrounding air is dry. So the drier the surrounding air, the more the moisture will leave what it's absorbed into and dry out. So that's kind of the purpose of dehumidifying. So these units are dehumidifying air, outside air, pumping that into the building. That air is taking water out of the materials. Okay, it's pulling the water out of the materials due to the difference in vapor pressure, and then that air is being exhausted out the building. Okay, these two ducts are just supply air. So you're bringing in outside air. We'll do a little walk around of these units. The drying process is done by what's called a desiccant wheel. Okay, so there's no mechanical cooling in these two units. It's all done by electric heat and a desiccant wheel, a rotor, which consists of silica gel. That silica gel will pull moisture out of this outside air condition which is currently really pleasant. It's about 40-degree dew point out here. It'll probably take that dew point down to the teens, if I'm guessing. I'm not 100% sure. And it will blow that dry air. Each of these units is doing about 5,000 CFM, so it'll blow that dry, dehumidified air into the building. And again, that air will absorb the moisture out of the materials, and then we'll exhaust that air out of the building. So what you need when you rent something like this is you need something to power it, because most of the time there's no power. Okay, so there's a huge generator on the other side. We'll go see what the kW that generator is in a moment. The generator runs off of diesel fuel. If you have diesel fuel, you'll need DEF fluid. There's a bunch of cartons of it over there. That unit powers the dehumidifiers, pulls the moisture out of the air, and then we'll put that dry, very, very dry air into the space, into this building here. Okay, so we're going to go up here. And I don't know how well you can hear me because the fan's going pretty well. This is actually a diagram of the desiccant rotor and the dehumidification process. So you have reactivation inlet air going across a filter, going through a heater. In this case, it's an electric heater. That air is going to go across the rotor onto the wet side of the rotor and dry the rotor out. Okay? The supply air, which in this case is outside air, it's going to go through a filter, going to go through the rotor, and now the rotor is at a very low vapor pressure. It's going to absorb moisture out of this air, and we're going to supply this air into the building. And that's what these ducts are doing right here. They're supplying air into the building. So the process removes the moisture out of the air, but it also heats up the air. So about 96 degrees, 95, 96 degrees is what we're looking at, but extremely dry. If I could get in there, I'm going to measure the dew point. And again, the dew point out here, I measured it earlier, it's about 40-degree dew point. Okay, so we're looking at here is the supply fan. So this is the reactivation outlet air. Okay, which is drying the wheel. It feels like a dryer vent. It's very moist. It's very hot. Maybe I'll take a reading off of that. And this is the inlet. This is the inlet air right here. So we're taking this air in. It's going across the rotor. It's pulling the moisture out of it, and it's heating it up. And it's going through this duct into the building. It's very, very hot. It's a relative term. It's about 95 degrees, but extremely dry, okay? This is the reactivation air, which is coming in up here. The reactivation air inlet, okay? So it's going across a heater. In this case, electric strip heat. That air is drying out the wheel. It's pulling it's pulling water off of the wheel that is turning into the process stream. And I'm going to go ahead and read the dew point here. So the wet bulb is about 76, 77. It's 98, 99 degrees. It's 67 degree dew point. So 67 degree dew point, 65 dew point, 76 wet bulb, and 99 degrees. So that is the reactivation outlet. So that's and again, there's two units here, 5,000 CFM each. I don't know if we got a shot of that, Nate. Supplying the air through those ducts up there. This is the big generator. I'm going to walk by you, Nate, so be careful. You can see the diesel exhaust fluid. I don't know what kW this generator is, but it's a 330 TSX, so maybe that's 330 kW. That's probably what it is. So, you know, one of the things to consider when you're doing this, make sure you got a lot of fuel and a big old generator. You know, these units need power to run. These are made by a company called CDI, Climate by Design, in Owatonna, Minnesota. Okay? Nate and I actually were at the factory. It's an amazing facility. They make mobile units like this for disaster relief, and they also make units, active desiccant dehumidification units, for all kinds of different processes. So why don't we get one shot of kind of the building, Nate, and then we'll see if we can walk around the front here. All right, we're going to take a shot, see if they're going to let us in this building. I'm going to guess no, but I'm going to ask. We'll see what happens. So you can see where the flooding came up. Let's show you the flood level at the front of the building here. What we were told is the flood levels came up to the second step in 1916. And that you can see the water line still of the flood from a week ago over here. So it's crazy. Hey, how you doing? We allowed to go in there? Okay, we got a no on that. That's what I thought. We'll just walk around and take some B-roll then. All right, so we'll end it here. HVAC TV, thanks for watching. Check the show notes. Check the notes to the video if you're watching this on YouTube, and we'll put some links in there if you need a rental unit or you have questions about a building you want to dry out. There will be links in there to help you with that. And thank you so much for watching.